When it comes time to deploy your full-stack application, Netlify is an extremely popular and an effective choice. They essentially pioneered a deployment process that a lot of developers affectionately call the Netlify Workflow. In this lesson, we will demonstrate that by deploying a Next.js full-stack application, which you can easily modify to work with any front-end plus API application that you might have. So let's take a look. This is a basic Next.js application that we built in a previous lesson. The exact details of the application code are not important. The only thing that you need to know for this particular lesson on deployment is that in order to build the application, we execute the command npm run build. This generates our built assets, which we can then serve using a production server by running npm start. Now with this server booted up locally, we can visit localhost 3000 to view our application. It consists of a very basic demo main page, as well as a /social page where the user can click a button to update a subscriber count. And then it comes with two API endpoints, one called API/hello, which always returns the same JavaScript object. And then there is API/visits that returns an incrementing visits count as the user visits the page again and again. Now this video is not sponsored by Netlify, I just like demoing great tech that makes your life as a developer easy. Now to get started, visit netlify.com, click on the login page, and here you can select any of the login providers. For my particular case, I will log in with the GitHub account, and this will take you into your Netlify dashboard. Now of course, when you get started, you will not have any sites, so click on the new site button to create your first app. Now Netlify provides a similar workflow with multiple source control providers. Of course, my favorite provider nowadays is GitHub, and I will go ahead and click that because that is where I have pushed my demo-next project. Now because I have authorized Netlify for my GitHub account, I can search demo-next and select that project over here. Now this takes us into the create a new site workflow, and there is nothing to select over here as I'm going to go with the default theme, with the default branch, and the same holds true for my basic build settings. I don't need to specify a base directory as Next.js is located in my project root. The command that I'm going to be using to build is npm run build, and it's picked that up automatically. And for a published directory, I don't actually need one, but it's picked that up by default, which is out for a Next.js project, because as you can see, it has identified that this is actually a Next.js project, and it will install an additional plugin that will do all of the things for us that we would otherwise have to configure. So as we are happy with the defaults, we just click the deploy site button that takes us into the deploying workflow. Now you can happily stay on this screen while we wait for our site deployment to complete, but we will click this deploying your site button right now to see the deployment log unfold right in front of our eyes. Now this is not going to take particularly long, but one thing that you will notice is that some features will come from the Netlify plugin Next.js. Now once this deployment is complete, we will get a preview URL that is specific to this particular deployment. This is extremely useful as this allows you to debug what changed between various deployments. But for right now, we will go back to our main dashboard, and you can see that our website is currently deploying at this particular URL. Now you can always set up a custom domain, and that is something that you can do if you have a domain name, but right now we will go with the default provided one. Now of course, our deployed application will contain the usual suspects. We will have our default index page that we saw previously, as well as the /social page. And the great thing about using Next.js with Netlify is that this is actually being rendered on the server as static HTML and then being hydrated with React on the client. This is great for search engine optimization, as the search engine can essentially read the HTML, in our case current subscribers, without having to run any JavaScript. Additionally, the users also get a great experience as the HTML is rendered immediately, and then once the JavaScript starts running, it's hydrated so the user can still do the normal interactions that you would expect. And Netlify also supports server-side functions, so we can visit our /API/hello endpoint to get this simple JavaScript object response, and also visit the /API/visits URL to see an incrementing visit count. Now there are a lot of other cloud providers that provide a very similar onboarding experience nowadays, but let's go further and discuss the Netlify workflow, which is something that originally set Netlify apart as a great choice for front-end developers. Essentially, the Netlify workflow is something that allows you to modify your application, see it in action, and then finally commit it to production if it is something that you think is working as expected. So here I have my demo-next project pushed to GitHub, and I can modify our application over here. For example, change the current subscribers text to be just subscribers, and then create a new pull request with this particular change. And once I have the pull request created, it will automatically get picked up by Netlify because it's integrated with this particular repository, and it will leave a comment that it is starting a new deployment for this particular pull request. Now, of course, we can click this inspect the deploy log link to view the deploy log that we saw for our initial commit previously. But in addition to that, we will also get a preview URL for this particular build. Now, preview URLs are available for build to production as well as builds for pull requests. This means that we will get to view what our application looks like with this particular pull request without having to deploy it to production. Once the deployment is complete, this preview URL becomes available and we can go ahead and click it, and you can see what our application is going to look like with the modification. And of course, nothing is going to change on the main page, but if you visit the /social URL, you can see that the text is modified and no longer has the current prefix before subscribers. Of course, our production remains unchanged and it still contains the current prefix. Now, if you are happy with the changes as demonstrated by the preview, we can go ahead and merge this pull request, and this will kick off an automatic deployment to production from our main branch. So if you go back to our dashboard and scroll a bit down, you can see that a new production deployment is taking place. And of course, once more we can click it to see the build log as it happens. And of course, I'll speed it up so that it completes. And once it is done, we can visit our production app to see the text change from current subscribers to subscribers as done by that pull request. Now, as I've mentioned in other lessons, now is a great time to become a front-end developer, as it's becoming easier and easier for you to deploy your front-end application, and Netlify Workflow is just one of those examples. If you enjoyed this lesson and would like to see more quick and complete tutorials like this, then smash that like and subscribe, and I will see you in the next one.